Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Radicat. You can find me at Radicat on Twitter. You can find me at News Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
Columbia down the way.
And sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, @agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings. Here we go.
From Brooklyn, better known as Brooklyn.
Indeed. And shout out to Benji Games too. You're here right on time as always. Says what's up to RK and Agent.
What's going on?
And you can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's csvn.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Coastal Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and leave us all the 5-star positive reviews.
Yeah. So yeah, we're coming in kind of hot and heavy because one, it's a celebration itches. You will understand that once we get to all of the news that we have. But first, we're going to get into a little spoiler-free, spoiler-light recapping of Star Wars: The Mandalorian, chapter 20. Excuse me. Season 3, Episode 7, Chapter 23, called The Spies, as I do. So yeah, folks. This one kind of hit the ground running.
Yeah. I mean, listen, as the penultimate episode, this is the one that essentially reset the story after the previous episode kind of took us all, let's say took a lot of us, myself definitely included, kind of out of the suspension of our disbelief and put us right in the middle of spot that cameo. So it was nice to be back in the Mandalorian story and specifically see how things looped back around just prior to the ending of this season. So that's why I thought this was really effective. But at the same time, it seems like we waited a long time throughout this season to get to this point. You know, it was like a super slow burn, and this episode is all, you know, like minor or like kind of expected plot development on top of action, on top of sacrifices. So there was a lot happening in this episode that I guess we had all been waiting for with bated breath. What do you think?
I slightly agree. Like, I didn't think it was that slow of a burn, but also once it got to the point to where it was like, okay, they are clearly trying to, as we've been saying, make up for this other stuff that they're trying to get through in the prequel and the sequel trilogy. Like, yeah, that kind of took away from the main story, but also I guess added to it because given you kind of would expect around this time, like, yeah, they're going to be trying to get from here to there with some stuff. During the course of these, the ongoing shows, that being Mandalorian and the previously ended Bad Batch and whatnot. Oh, it's it's kind of that thing you kind of had to be like, all right, yeah, here we go with this stuff. But yeah, now that we're back to this stuff right here that kind of been teased and hinted from the first episode that we kind of knew what was going to be the case. You know, it was like, all right, we're back to this and let's get to going. The only problem I had, and we're not going to spoil it because the show just came out like the day before yesterday, excuse me, is that how in the world do a bunch of folks that are, let's say, fighters get caught up in what they get caught up in that easily?
I mean, it is Star Wars, and
True.
we know that Star Wars is the origin of it's a trap.
True.
So
It's true. But it was just funny. I was like, "How you okay, you should know better. Come on, man." But it is what it is. I will say that there was one part of it that kind of reminded me of another Star Wars and another animated Star Wars series. Because of I was like, okay, I expected it to be 3 clones on this one in this one situation, and not what we. Although we did find 3, well, there was more than 3. We did find some other folks along the way. Put it that way.
right,
So,
right.
but I expected a
Right.
couple of the other
So
things to happen.
I mean, I expected. What's funny is that, and I've talked about this before. I've listened to the air one of the heirs to binge mode, that being the Ringerverse, and the other one being X-Ray Vision over on Crooked Media. And no shouting out, no, we're not doing paid ads here, but I have to shout out, the podcast that I myself listen to, and that there was a theory that they propagated. They didn't necessarily promote, but they definitely carried it forward, and it bore out in this episode.
Okay.
The theory being being related to what was on the planet of Mandalore. So I thought that was a fine idea. I feel like I'm Forrest Gump. That's a fine idea. When I heard that, that's exactly what I said. That's gonna be a fine idea. So when I saw that come to fruition, to see that bear out, I kind of laughed. I was like, well, you know, I wasn't the first person to think of that. I heard that. I was like, you know what? That's probably what's going to happen. You know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I have not heard what theories it was, so I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't think I've heard, now that I think about it. Well, the only theories that I've actually heard have to do with the main characters' involvement in the thing, and it seemed like they may be going the length to make one of that, well, part of that come true. I'm not sure, because like I said, we only got one more episode left, and I feel like that's a story that's going to need a lot more than just one more episode for them to do.
Right.
So, but all in all, it was pretty good episode. You know, uh, you know, I kind of want to say something about a certain how a certain character kind of did, which that was kind of expected. I feel like, and it did actually happen. But yeah, things kind of worked out the way they were going to. But anyway, just not to belabor the point.
Sure. There are a couple of things that play out here. One of them is we mentioned this in our pre-production meeting, that there was an obvious product being created before our eyes, a toy being created before our eyes on screen,
Yes,
that
there
is
is.
sure to be released with the quickness.
Yes, there is definitely a couple of new figures that's probably going to come out fairly soon. At the
Yeah.
So stay tuned, folks, because we will. I'm sure we will talk about it when that news finally breaks.
Agreed. All right, so I think that's it for this week's episode of The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Now we're gonna get into some Star Trek Picard season 3, episode 9, another penultimate episode actually, called
Right.
Vox.
Right. Engage.
Yes, I'm not gonna
And
lie.
I do not. There's so many layers to what I just said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So many layers.
Indeed. The band at this point, folks, if you've been keeping up with the show, the band's back together. We finally got, well, close to the final bit of plot threadings woven up to go into the end. With there is still a question or two on my end, and I think there was kind of a swerve that has kind of negated a couple of people's theories. I have heard some theories on this particular.
All right, I'll tell you that one of the things I enjoyed was the twist on a concept that we had up until now understood to be able to be done one way, and to use classic Star Trek technology with like pseudoscience
Mm-hmm.
to make that twist happen. I appreciated that. I really did.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I was like, okay, I guess if you thought about it in some kind of long way, you probably could have seen it coming. But this is like, nah, it was kind of a hard one with what was given to us with this season. Kind of hard to come across just with what
Exactly. Once they had this subtle reveal, it made more sense. It was that subtle reveal that that helped us to understand this particular theory. And that subtle reveal is, this is the first time we're hearing of it. So there's no way, I don't think anyone would have come up with that one.
No, they no, like you said, they just kind of repurposed something into something else, and I was like, okay, that's like I said, the prevailing theories was going a totally different way,
Right.
Which still kind of doesn't. Well, it makes some sense in a certain way given what we've seen so far, but now has opened up a couple of other questions going the other way, because that's involved. There's a couple of involvement questions and a couple other things that I have, but I assume hopefully is going to get answered in the next episode.
No, absolutely.
Which is the last episode.
We'll see exactly, which is going to be the final episode in all of Picard.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be an interesting episode to watch next week, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of wondering if it's going to be a slightly bigger, longer show. I kind of doubt it, because I mean they haven't really done that. They've been pretty much stuck to their guns about lengths of things, up until this time. But like I said, there's a couple of questions.
There might be a subtle lengthening, but it may not be that. Like I haven't seen anything announced. They usually announce that stuff, but you never know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you don't. So I don't know, because it's like, okay, and then there's like at least one thing from like the last couple of seasons that was like, are they just gonna just put that in at the end or something for whatever other reason? I don't know. But regardless, I'm looking forward to it. The last part of the show definitely was one that kind of had me in my feels in a very good way. So like, yes. But it was definitely check it out if you are interested. That being said, we're going to push on into the books of the week. Starting off with Fantastic Four number 6.
Alrighty, Fantastic Four number 6 is written by Ryan North with art by Ivan Fiorelli, colors by Jesus Abertov, and letters by our favorite lettering python, VC's Joe Caramagna. So again, during our pre-production meeting, Roddy Cat and I were discussing what book to start with. And interestingly, we'd settled on this issue. And the one comment I made, and I'll hand this off to Roddy Cat, was, so this was an interesting turn for Ryan North to take our characters, the Fantastic Four, because this is a direct continuation of something that seemed to be a minor development in the last issue.
Right.
Now we are dealing with a very interesting twist on utilizing all of the FF, including Alicia, to affect some sort of solution to something that actually, believe it or not, is kind of the FF's fault, kind of not.
Right.
And that seems to be, the theme of this, that seems to be the theme of this early part of the Ryan North run on this book. I will say though that the art was very nice. I'm still kind of struggling with the mustache on Johnny Storm.
Yeah, that every page.
Yeah, it doesn't look right. It just seems off.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely like, and we've seen this happening more and more. Alicia being given far more, not agency, but just things to do.
Right.
Because she's always been in charge of her. I mean, for the most part, she's always been in charge of her own destiny, for the most part. But this gives her active things to do as part of like the support group around the FF.
Right.
So,
yeah, I totally agree.
she was traditionally like the babysitter, especially when the kids were really young.
Right.
Go with Alicia, kids. You know,
which also was going back to a few issues ago. Surprised that wherever they are, she was not with them. But I guess that was the reasoning. This was the reasoning why with, she's with Ben and not with them.
Right. So ultimately, I'll hand it off to Radicap for his thoughts. But that's, I kind of, I was kind of just a little, taken aback, confused, startled, whatever. Just a little bit like, so this is where North is going with this? A little weird, but okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the whole, and I guess I kind of share that because it's like, okay, we've been seeing this since the start of this volume. It's like, yeah, well, they're already in this one particular state, and they're already, people already think a certain thing about them. So now they're going to go and do another thing. Granted, trying to help out, that kind of continues to put them in that same state, or even worse, to get them to where they are. I guess at the end of this, and I guess including with who shows up, which that part right there was probably the weirdest thing about this. It was like, okay, I guess somebody was going to show up in opposition of what's going on, but at the same time, like, that's still seems kind of weird since they were trying to do whatever, get out of the last situation,
Right.
or seemingly was going to, but then ended up getting another. But yeah, that little thing that Agent 70 was talking about was, of course, was going to turn into a big thing, and like going into the next issue, which is the 700th legacy issue, and to what we come to find out in the news, someone else is going to be involved. And yeah, I'm not sure where exactly North is kind of going with this whole story, and obviously he's going to, do something near the end of this whenever that's going to the case. But I'm going to assume that this is all to get into this next issue, and then that's where it's going to kind of like, all right, now we're gonna put everything back. I'm assuming,
right, like the big anniversary, right?
Right. So we shall see. We shall see. I did like the little brother sister bonding that was going on, despite the situation that was going on. Also, the fact that the plan, well, it's weird. The plan that was conceived came from the one unlikely place that ended up getting someone else in trouble. So that was the part that was kind of like, okay, that's weird on both accounts, but we got to get there some kind of way. So otherwise, that, like, I'm still here for the ride. So like I said, there's we'll see where it goes next. Coming out of that the next issue. And with that, I think we're going to go into rapid fire.
All right, loading it up.
No, I'm sorry. No, we're not. Guardians. Sorry.
Oh no!
Forgot about that. Sorry.
Nope. All righty. So, Guardians of the Galaxy. Right. So we'll do Guardians of the Galaxy next. Guardians of the Galaxy, interestingly enough, is written by the same team behind this week's Captain America Cold War Alpha #1, which is the other book I read this week. So, this book is written by, as I get to the credits page, Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, former guests of the Comic Book Chronicles. The art is by Kev Walker, most recently of Predator. Colors are by Matt Hollingsworth, and letters are by VC's Corey Petit. Folks, the Guardians of the Galaxy have been off the table, off the board in the Marvel universe for a little while. And now we see what they may have been up to, or at least where they have come from after this little, let's say, being off the grid period. And it's a very interesting twist on what we know to be the Guardians. this is still very much in continuity. This is not a reimagining, folks. This is them going in a very different direction. Ultimately, part of it felt very Cowboy Bebop.
Thank you.
Definitely felt that. And it's funny that I can make that reference now. I definitely felt a couple of characters taking a very distinct left turn when it came to their characterization. A couple, more than one. Some of it was MCUification, some of it was not.
Yes.
And finally, the big bad, and it's not that big a spoiler if you've been keeping up with solicitations or news stories that we have talked about on the show. But one member in particular may or may not be behind part of the crisis that the Guardians are fighting against. That is teased, obviously not revealed here completely in the first issue. We will see how this plays out over the course of this opening arc, if not more. Thank goodness it's not Zeb Wells writing this story. Shots fired.
Although that being said, we are definitely getting teased because one, there is a timeline that has been established, which I think almost lines up with the absence of the Guardians as a book, if I'm not mistaken. It's a similar time frame, and yes, in that same Zeb Wells and I guess Ryan North to a point and fashion, they're kicking this off pretty much already into the thing, and we don't know why some things are the way they are. And also, I guess to go on the 70s Cowboy Bebop point, yeah, it is definitely that, but it's also just plain Western, themed in that respect. For what reason? Again, we don't know. Particularly, like I said, coming out of the last volume, which I vaguely remember what happened in. Now that I think about it, so and as Agent 70 said, it's definitely an MCUification happening because the team makeup is MCU team minus a couple of characters.
Right.
Again, one of which is involved, and the other we haven't seen yet for whatever reason. But I think the news kind of bore out that or somewhere around in some way, shape, or form that I guess we will finally see at some point. But yeah, other than that, it is an interesting start. Apparently, Gamora's back to her her former fetish model days with the get up, and everybody's get up, and in a couple of cases attitude / demeanor are kind of different in a way that I'm hoping they're going to at some point get into.
Yeah.
Because they can't just leave that out there. Like, okay, why is this person like this, and why all this come about?
Right. Like I said, a little bit of MCUification, but a little bit of just a left turn.
Mm-hmm. But it's a left turn that I think I can't necessarily speak for Agent 70, but it's one that I'm more readily accepting of as opposed to what the couple of other ones that we spoke of previously.
Right.
So specifically the Spider-Man stuff, because the FF stuff was like, okay, we knew we were going to get some explanation relatively more sooner than we have with Spider-Man.
Oh God.
And we're still getting more questions kind of
right.
from that, even though the explanation has already happened. So
I'm sorry, folks. We take shots, throw shade, whatever euphemism you want to apply every week at that story. So, give us for beating that particular dead horse.
Yeah. And there's another one I know Agent 70 didn't get to this week that I did, but we will talk about that when we get into Rapid Fire.
Here we go.
I ain't got time to breathe.
All righty, so I will lead off because I literally have one more book to talk about, that being Captain America Cold War Alpha #1. Again, this book is written by former guests of the Comic Book Chronicles, Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing. Uh, the art on this book is supplied by Carlos Magno. Oh, I'm sorry. Tochi Onyebuchi, the author, the writer of Captain America Sentinel, not oh my god, what's Sam's book, the subtitle?
Symbol of freedom.
Symbol of Freedom. Oh my god. You know, we've gotten so used to calling it whatchamacallit, Sam's book and Steve's book, right? So the trio of writers on the two Captains America. They actually make a point of saying Captains America in this issue.
They brought that back up, and okay.
What's that?
They brought that back up again, huh?
Exactly. The art on this book is supplied by Carlos Magno. Letters are by VC's Joe Caramagna. The color art is by Guru EFX. I'm sorry for doing that in that order, but that just seems to be the way this Captain America editing team presents the art credits. You know, it's usually colors then letters, but hey. So ultimately, we see part of what Bucky is planned as the result of being named or taking the name of the Revolution, as being part of the Outer Circle. And, you know, we bring together the two Caps. We have Ian Rogers in play. We also have something from the Remender Captain America run coming back, other than, in addition to that is, Ian Rogers. So we'll see how all of this plays out. Interestingly enough, you know, Magno's art is a little hit and miss sometimes when it comes to proportions. There are a couple of panels in here that really took me out of my suspension of disbelief. You know, just being able to appreciate and just being an art critic, a very poor art critic at that. But still, when I was reading it, I was like, oh, dude, where's the editorial on this to kind of fix this up? There's no art. You know what? I kind of miss the days when John Romita Sr. was like the head of the art department in Marvel and would, like, you know, see pages and like make changes to things, because I feel like there should have been an editor kind of, you know, looking at some of these layouts. So, but anyway, that's it for me.
One small errata. It is Symbol of Truth, not Symbol of Freedom.
Symbol of Truth. Look, neither of us remembered.
Yeah,
so it's okay.
But I was like, let me actually go back and check that real quick.
We both goofed, so it's okay.
So going into my books, we have Star Trek #6. Yes, a potential click of the week, I will say. Go. Creative team is as follows. Writers, actually, there we go. We're keeping the train going with writers Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, with arts by Ramon Rosanas, colors by Lee Luffridge, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So yeah, this, I'm not going to sit here and say that this is maybe the end of this arc, but this seems to be potentially the end of this part of the story. I'm guessing, because, you know, if you follow Star Trek, there are some things that are fundamentally fundamentally true. A big thing is going to happen. A lot of times it ends up going to Earth, and whatever crew is the one that came across it ends up being the ones that have to stop it. Like I said, total Star Trek things. There are some very familiar protocols that are enacted in the course of this book. It was like, okay, great, that's a nice little nod callback because of similar things that happen relatively, apparently, or rather, a lot, I guess, or at least enough in this universe to where they have to do that. But also, there's some kind of side things with some personal relations, not personal relations, but some working relationships that I also get, and personal relationships that kind of get ironed out during the course of this issue. But at the end of it, we get as one Benjamin Sisko says, we get to go home. And if you know anything about that character I just mentioned and where they are stationed, you know where they're headed next. Someone also gets a kind of a field promotion that kind of puts them in line with one Dr. McCoy, and makes sense because they're also a doctor. So
You mean not a field demotion? That was the first time I'd ever heard that term.
oh no, I'm not talking about that. I did. I know what
I'm
you're
just
talking
saying.
about, but
It's
yeah.
funny that you mentioned that. I'm like, wait, I'd never heard the term field demotion before, folks.
Right.
Minor spoiler: that term pops up in this week's episode of Picard. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. But no, yeah, some a character who was also in that show also gets a slight field promotion. I don't know if it's an actual promotion, but because this character is usually pretty much in that capacity in some kind of way, or was anyway. So it was kind of interesting that they did that. But this book continues to be pretty great, and I'm kind of curious to see where they're going to go from this. And also in relation to the next book that I'm talking about, which is also referenced in Star Trek Defiance #2, which is written by Christopher Cantwell, with art by Angel or Unwell. This is Angel Unzueta. Sure, I have not heard that name out loud, so I don't know. My apologies if I butchered it. Colors by Marissa Louise, and did not get the letters. Clayton Cowles, once again. Um. So yeah, so this is the kind of the companion book to the Star Trek ongoing, in that has broken off from Star Trek. So basically, Worf's got a ship now, breaking off of events from something that happened in the last issue of Star Trek. Kind of going off his board on a side mission, of which actually the regular book may or may not be kind of doing something with going forward. Also, I'm not sure, but regardless, Worf's got his own ship, got his own crew, his own motley crew at that, which consists of him, Spock, Alana Torres, Rolaren, and um one sibling of another character, let's just say, who, if you're watching the video version, you can see the cover, so it's a spoiler, non-spoiler. We get to see and understand why this character has been put back into play in this, and as for the reasoning makes sense, put it that way. Now again, I don't know how much in canon this is with what's going on in Star Trek Picard, but I know this is at a different time, so that may or may not have much bearing. But we'll see. Next up is Moon Knight #22. Excuse me. There we go. Written by Jed McKay, art by Alessandro Capuccio, color artist Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. This is also a potential click of the week for me, as it is a pretty much a Tigra-centric story. Again, if you're watching the video version, you can see the cover there. So yeah, it's interesting coming out the end of this as to what they're starting up, and I won't go into what happens with that. But the only thing I will say about this issue is that I would not mind reading a Tigra solo story, solo book. Because there are some things you kind of forget. Like, yeah, she's a capable Avenger, but obviously she's not going up against no cosmic level event folks, even though she has had to and during her time as an Avenger. But I can see some stories, having to do with you know, her doing some detective work and kind of getting into stuff and going after folks, as she has done in the past. The amusing thing is about this one is that there is a cameo by another teammate of hers, which was like, okay, yeah, this is I want to see more of this, because they would just so happen to be in the area and she needed some information. But this issue pretty much finds her going after one of Moon Knight's old adversaries. That's apparently Mark was like, I don't care. Comes to the but we come to find out why that is coming out of this. But we also get some time with when you forget that Tiger has a kid and she has a kid with someone, and there's some stuff about that comes up in the course of this. Which that was probably the weird part about this, because it was like, okay, it's weird that this stuff is coming up here for whatever odd reason, and why. But coming out of the end of it, I guess it makes more sense. So, but it was a good issue. Next up, Miles Morales Spider-Man number 5. Oh, written by Cody Ziegler, art by Federico Vincentini, and color artist of Brian Valenza. And again, did I the letters? What happens? Folks, while I say that, I don't know, Rate to 70, if you're still reading this or not, because I know we've been having some issues with some things, and with this with the story.
Well, I'm sorry. I was trying to do something. What was that?
I said I didn't know whether you were still reading this book or not, or pretty much give up.
Which book?
Spider-Man, Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Oh, I have not given up on it. Although I have been very frustrated. So I apologize. I definitely apologize. The last thing I heard you talk about was Moon Knight. So that must have been the book right before.
Anyway, I won't go too far into it. This seemingly for now closes out the first arc of the story with that whole rabble situation.
Well, you mean rebel? It's literally, I think, where they're taking that name from. Rebel.
Probably, or maybe they've been listening to Tim. So I feel like there's a couple of references that are here that if you read them, you might catch them. Also, I'm not entirely sure, but I know we both had an issue with the fact that of the bad person's motivations for doing what they're doing, and even reading this, that still feels kind of weird. But they kind of get to a place with that, in a way. There was also a team up with Misty Knight and Starling, which was cool. Which again may or may not have referenced another thing from the X-Men corner of the universe. And Miles kind of has a couple of moments of one of which is a kind of a Spidey classic note that he kind of has, but he also maybe have a new ability that is coming out of this, interestingly enough. But yeah, so like I said, you will happen, Agent 70 will be happy to learn that I think they might have toned down the quote unquote youngification of Misty Knight in this issue. By the way, they were, I mean, a little here and there, but it's not as bad as what it has been in the last couple of. That's all I'll say about that, because I don't want to give away too much of it, but I think for now it kind of closes out the whole rabble thing for now.
Rebel.
My next book is James Bond 007 for King and Country #1 of, I'm not sure how many issues, because I can't seem to find that out. It's written.
It's not on comic list.
Nope, not comic list, not previews. So
got it.
Written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Giorgio Spalletta, excuse me, color artist Francisco Segala, with assist by Agnes Pazza, and letters by Jeff Eckelberry. So the first 007 book, I said I was going to read, and I still plan on reading it, but haven't gotten a chance to. So I'm not entirely sure if some things that are brought up here, I believe, are coming from that story, but I'm not entirely sure how much. That being said, but we find our James Bond in a certain state, that I guess he's not. Well, I guess depending on which version of Bond you think about, either he's kind of always here or rarely ever been here. Put it this way. But he also finds himself with an associate, and also maybe dealing with a thing that might, let's say, be coming out of one Mission Impossible 2 in a way. And again, I don't know how much of that stuff that they bring up in this book may be from the first James Bond book, but the Dynamite James Bond book, to be specific. So not sure, but I'll have to go back and read that when I get a chance to. But overall, as that, it's not a bad start. We'll see where it goes from there, and hopefully I'll be able to catch up with. And my last book is Bloodline, Daughter of Blade, number 3. Which is written by Danny Lore, with art by Karen S. Darbo, color artist Chris Peters, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So, Brielle meets her dad, finally. Blade, Daughter of Blade. It's right there in the title, folks. Come on. And it seems to go better than what you think it would, interestingly enough. But the way they met, I guess wasn't so much of a thing for him, because he's kind of used to things kind of coming at him. But after a nice little 25-cent version of his story and partially her story, we kind of get into the training montage. Yeah, that's pretty much the majority of this book. But at the end of this, of course, there's always a new wrinkle, and new wrinkle reintroduce themselves at the end of this book, that I'm sure Blade specifically is none too thrilled to be back acquainted with. Definitely see how that goes. And that is it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
So I don't think, we didn't get anything from our other co-host, but I'm just going to make
well, nothing definitive, because
right.
We did have a very positive review about one book that one of our absentee colleagues read.
Right, and I'm going to pretty much make that their Kliq, and I might actually possibly go with them, but we shall see in a moment. And that book is Star Trek number 6, and that is from Dirt. He basically said, "Yeah, Star Trek is really good this week," and it was. So I cannot dispute that. Although at first I was like, "Wait, is he talking about Picard?" But I always assumed he was going to say Picard if he meant.
Right. That's what I would assume also.
Yeah, so I was assuming he's talking about the book. So we're gonna put that for his. Do you have yours?
I'm still thinking, but I only have 3 choices. So I think I'm going to defer to you for just a few seconds to make a decision. But if you don't come up with one in like the next 15 or 20, I'll probably just make a choice. Go ahead.
Sure. So my choices are either Moon Knight, Star Trek, and maybe Guardians.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards Guardians. Yeah. Because I was a little taken aback by what was going on in FF, even though I really liked, the execution of the story. I just thought it was a weird direction to go at the end of it.
Right.
And I I've been kind of not hate reading all the Cap books, but just not being keen on the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with Guardians of the Galaxy number.
Yep. Wow, this fetish cover. Of course. I say fetish. It's good. I think I'm gonna actually go with Moon Knight number 22 because, like I said, it is more of a tiger story than Moon Knight, and I would like to see more tiger stuff because let's face it, folks know me. I'm a fan of the Wackos, the West Coast Avengers. Again, another of which shows up in this book. And Tiger also, in relation to, especially like I said, the old Wackos. More of that.
Hmm?
And with that, folks, we are going to go into the news section, but first, an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off, help keep our show free for you. Go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. Now we get into the news.
And we get into the cinematic news as we do about this time. The reason why we're going so fast is because there's a lot of news from this week. Like I said, it is a celebration, folks. One that is probably dated at this point is that The Lord of the Rings Return of the King Extended Edition is back in theaters to mark the 20th anniversary. Why I say it's dated? Because I believe that was tonight, Thursday, April 13th. Oh, wait, no, yeah, that is true. It says the movie comes back tonight, Thursday, April 13th, and Wednesday, April 19th, according to this article at 7 p.m., whatever local time, and hitting Canadian theaters at 7 p.m. local on Thursday, April 20th. It says here that the screenings will kick off with a special introduction from Elijah Wood, who will discuss the lasting impact of the universe, first conjured by J.R.R. Tolkien and his epic 50s fantasy novel. And it kind of goes on from there. But it's also, looks like, there's going to be coverage of a new Lord of the Rings tabletop game as a celebrity panel embarks on their own adventure into Middle Earth to raise support for the Extra Life for Kids fundraising program in conjunction with Children's Miracle Hospital. So that's great. So there's also some charity going on. Next up.
So in CW, TV show news, a new multiverse is teased in the first official The Flash season 9, episode 9 trailer with Arrow versus Green Arrow. The Arrowverse is about to have one of its biggest episodes on The Flash later this month. For episode 9, the Grant Gustin starring series is bringing together several iconic guest stars. The installment will mark Kanan Lonsdale's final time as Wally West, aka Kid Flash, and it will feature the return of Stephen Amell as the Arrow versus Green Arrow. This will be Amell's first return to the Arrowverse since Arrow season 8 in 2020.
Yeah, and
this will be Wednesday, April 25th.
Yep, and I'm also kicking myself because I realized there's some stuff I got to put closer to this than to happen, but we'll push. Joker 2 director reveals new look at Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix as filming Raps. If you're watching the video version, you can see the Instagram post from Todd Phillips that shows one Stephanie Germanotta in her in kind of makeup. But yeah, sure. That's a wrap. Philip captions. Thanks to these two, plus the entire cast and the best crew in the film industry has to offer. Dr. Bottom gonna crawl into a cave now, edit room, and put it all together. That was from Todd Knox's, not Todd Phillips's Instagram post. Next up.
Alrighty, the Penguin trailer heralds the new King of Gotham. The Batman spin-off series is headed to not HBO Max.
Oh, we'll get to that in a little bit.
And not Cinemax, but just plain old Max. Like it's Saved by the Bell.
Like I said, we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, very little is known about the plot of the series, which only recently went into production. But hey, we got a little bit about it.
Yeah, apparently people have been liking this trailer like a whole lot. At least from anecdotally from from the Twitterverse. So I'm like, okay, I still haven't seen the Batman. So, Russell Crowe says Kraven the Hunter movie is set in an quote unexpectedly dark world. So yeah, that Kraven the Hunter thing is still going on, folks. There's really. Apparently, Russell Crowe had a recent interview with CBR, and he shared some insight that fans might find interesting. I'm not going to go into it because I think that last soundbite said enough. Next up,
right? Alrighty, so
buckle up,
guess
folks.
what, folks? Guess what, folks? Guess what, folks? It is Star Wars. Celebrate good times. Come on.
Hello there.
Exactly. So, first up, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy announced 3 new live-action Star Wars films are on the way. This is from Star Wars Celebration Europe 2023. Helming the movies are James Mangold, Dave Filoni, and Academy Award and Emmy Award-winning director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. James Mangold's movie will go back to the Dawn of the Jedi, while Dave Filoni's will focus on the New Republic and close out the interconnected stories told in The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and other Disney Plus series. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's film will be set after the events of Star Wars Rise of Skywalker and will feature Daisy Ridley back as Rey, not Skywalker to me, but Skywalker in her heart, as she builds a new Jedi Order.
Because they just got to keep that train a rolling. Yes.
You know,
like
so.
Have we not learned enough for the first the first couple of trilogies?
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's a cycle. But yes, on that news, Lucasfilm president confirms that Kevin Feige's film was never an official project. So that's kind of been the thing that's been rumored around here and there. But apparently, Anthony Kennedy was like, nah.
Yeah, right.
Next up.
All right, next up, Star Wars: The Acolyte. First footage debuted at Celebration. So the first look at The Acolyte, the upcoming Star Wars thriller series starring Amanda Stenberg and Lee Jung-jae, was revealed at London's Star Wars Celebration. The cast also includes Jodie Turner-Smith, The Good Place star Manny Jacinto, Daphne Keane, aka X-23, Rebecca Henderson, Carrie-Anne Moss, Trinity, Dean Charles Chapman, Charlie Barnett, and Margarita Levieva. Okay, so yeah, we has the trailer dropped at all? Like,
no,
or been leaked at all?
No, it was just footage.
Yeah, just for the attendees of Celebration.
Right. On that, the Acolyte will feature a Jedi Knight from the High Republic era. That would be Vernestra Rowe, apparently. So I think this is supposed to be set like during or around the time of the High Republic. I'm not sure, or near the end of it. I can't remember. But it was announced that the character will be played by I was about to say Fast and Furious. Mission Impossible's Rebecca Henderson. At least I think that's who that is. If I'm not mistaken. But it says here that Ro was Marillion Jedi Knight and a fan favorite from her appearance in the Star Wars books and comics. I have not read much of the High Republic stuff, so I don't know. Next up.
The trailer for Ahsoka came out during Celebration, and that show is coming in August 2023 to Disney Plus. That's just a few months away, folks, when it's bound to get hot. Guess what? Turn on the AC and sit down and watch some Ahsoka. It was revealed during Lucasfilm Studio Showcase at Celebration, a major moment for the title character and her longtime fans. Yeah, we saw a lot in this trailer, folks. They dropped a lot of goodies.
Yes, it was. Yes, it did, including well, actually, they didn't drop this. But yeah, if you're a Rebels fan, I think you will look. If you haven't seen the trailer, you will appreciate it.
Yep.
Lars Mikkelsen, because if it's not a Skarsgård, it's got to be a Mikkelsen. It's confirmed is confirmed to play Grand Admiral Thrawn in Star Wars Ahsoka.
Yo, Roddy Cat is not lying. Roddy Cat is not joking. Roddy Cat is not kidding.
Now, to be fair, Lars Mikkelsen voiced Thrawn in Star Wars Rebels. So it makes sense.
So it does make sense, but at the same time.
Right. Like, geez, man.
Yeah, seriously. Go ahead.
But yeah, now that's pretty much that. That this came out after the this trailer, like I think a day or not even a day, probably a few hours after the trailer for Ahsoka came out. That he was going to be, because all we saw in the trailer was a back of the head shot.
Right.
Thrawn is back, folks. To watch people's giddiness. Next up.
Yep. Wes Chatham, who played Amos Burton on 6 seasons in The Expanse, has been tapped to join the ensemble cast of Disney Plus's upcoming Star Wars series, Ahsoka. Per Deadline, Chatham will be joining Ahsoka as the right-hand man of Grand Admiral Thrawn. All right.
Yeah, not bad pick. He plays kind of a heavy on The Expanse, so yeah, that's not a bad pick. Speaking of more Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, Hera is a rebel legend by the events of Ahsoka. We do know that Hera, which we did see a couple of shots of in the Ahsoka trailer, is being played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and this article pretty much is basically her discussing how she's playing Hera and where the character is at before, or around the events of Ahsoka. Next up.
Yep. Just need a second here to keep this moving. Lucasfilm unveiled its first look at season 2. We are getting a season 2 of its Disney Plus series Andor, not Mando, but Andor, on Friday as part of Celebration. The 12-episode first season of Andor was created by Tony Gilroy, and I don't think, do we have any news on how long this one is, or is it just that it's announced?
No, it's just announced.
Just announced. Okay. I was about to say I didn't have a chance to scroll through the article, but I guess not.
Oh wait, actually, hold on a second. No, I take that back. It says like a 12-episode season will take place over 4 years, leading up to right before the events of Rogue One.
Oh, I did hear about this. Right. So I think it's like each year is going to be encompassed in 3 episodes.
Right. Just like
that's okay. Yes, 3 pods. That's how they put it. Each of those pods will encapsulate a successive number of days within one of those years.
Right. So kind of like we saw in the first season, but with bigger time jumps.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, I figured like we had to get some more Andor. There's no way in the world they were just gonna leave that where it was. So it was just a matter of time of when they were gonna do it.
Right. So I wanted to just jump in and just mention that now both Ewan McGregor and his newly and his new wife Mary Elizabeth Winstead are now both in Star Wars.
Yes, I totally forgot about that. Also, I didn't put it in the lineup, but it is in the clickbait section. The 2 Obi-Wans met. Ewan McGregor and James Arnold Taylor, who voices Obi-Wan. Apparently, they met
Okay.
during they met for the first time during Celebration. It was kind of cool. But that's in the clickbait session if you want to check that out. But Dave Filoni's Star Wars Tales of the Jedi is getting a season 2, which again, not a big surprise. So it says, yeah, this was confirmed by Filoni at Star Wars Celebration at the end of the Clone Wars 15th anniversary panel.
Goodness gracious, folks. You know what? Anytime we hear double-digit numbers on something that we feel came out very recently, you know what reaction that gets from us.
Boy, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Indeed. Another that would get that was actually this week. There was a book that came out, Star Wars Return of the Jedi 40th Anniversary, The Ewoks came out.
Right.
Boy, I'm getting too old for this shit.
But yeah.
Anyway, next up, Star Wars enlists the Bad Batch for a final season 3. We have one more season of the Bad Batch coming. So Clone Force 99 is not done yet, and we knew that was coming, but we did not realize yet that this is going to be the final season of the Bad Batch. So it is in fact in production right now. So
yep. Going back to that last one though, I think Filoni said it was like, yeah, Tales of the Jedi was so fun, we had to do it again. I'm like, sure, that's your reason. Speaking of Star Wars Visions season 2 trailer has been released. So again, not surprised they're doing another season of this news. It will be released on May the 4th because May the 4th with you. Yay. Of course, which is a Star Wars Day amongst the fans. And the 9 animation studios that worked on season 2 are El Guri, Cartoon Saloon, Punk Robot, Aardman, Studio Mirror, Studio La Cachette, 88 Pictures, D'Art Tanjo, and Lucasfilm and Triggerfish. Some of those are likely going to be familiar for those in the anime realm. But yeah, look forward to that. Next up.
all righty. So actor Dennis Lawson, who people will recognize as the actor who played Captain Wedge Antilles, is returning to Star Wars in Star Wars Visions, courtesy of Aardman Animations. So Aardman director Magdalena Osinska spoke to Empire about casting the Wedge Antilles actor in her upcoming claymation short, I Am Your Mother. So that focuses on a parent-child starship race. Okay, interesting.
Things to do. But yeah, if you wanted some Wallace and Gromit in your Star Wars, there you go. Jon Favreau teases where The Mandalorian season 3 is headed in its remaining episodes. Now, I specifically did not read too much of this, just in case there was any spoiler-rich things going on here, which I don't think there was. But it was as much as a tease as the title says. And of course, yeah, Favreau. Next up.
Scrolling. All right, so exactly. Rawhide. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny brought a pulpy sense of adventure to the Star Wars Celebration in London, where a new trailer for the Lucasfilm film debuted, and an additional 6 minutes of the film were shown to a delighted crowd. Okay.
Did you watch this trailer?
No, not this most recent one. I try not to watch the second one, but
gotcha.
I still don't know if I'm going to see this in the theater.
I kind of want to, but I'm not sure if I will either. So, and I didn't watch the last one either in the theater. So, but that one was.
I don't think I've watched all of the last one. I've watched chunks of it.
Gotcha. So, Indy getting older, folks, and I think this might be the last ride. So. Well, we'll see. And I think, now that I think about it, I think there's a Skarsgård in here.
They're everywhere, folks. They're everywhere.
Let's just, I'll look for that later. But yeah, I think Mikkelsen. Excuse me, not Skarsgård. It's Mikkelsen. It's Mads Mikkelsen, to be specific, who also has done a turn in Star Wars. So. There you go. Like I said, if it's not a Mikkelsen, it's a Skarsgård. Anywho, Marvel unveils first look at the real life Rogers the Musical. that is going to be at Disneyland's resort in Anaheim for a limited run. So if you can do this all day, I guess you'll check it out, whenever it happens.
I can do this all day. I think that's how it went.
That is how it went.
Oh my god.
You couldn't help but hear it as much as they did it. But yeah, June 30th is when it's going to be at Disney California Adventure. So yeah, if you want to see the full blown thing of that, there you go. And apparently there's a couple of shots in this from Twitter, from a Twitter account, from the person who covered it. Next up.
All right, so I guess it's worth combining these next two because one basically leads into the next. So Marvel Studios teased the impending release of the first trailer for the Marvels with a brief recording from space. It was shared by Marvel Entertainment on Twitter, and it consisted of 17 seconds of audio, which had a few unidentified speakers, which were later revealed in the trailer. So basically, the tease was hello, while the second person speaking was likely and definitely confirmed to be Sam Jackson's Nick Fury asking, "Where's Captain Rambeau?" So on April 10th, earlier this week, the Marvels trailer dropped, and Brie Larson heads an all-female trio of heroes in this. And let me tell you, I enjoyed it.
Yes.
I could see where all the haters are going to hate, right? Not quoting Taylor Swift on purpose, but that's what came to mind. And ultimately, I understand where they're coming from. It's just that the comic book fan in me was yelling out, "That's not how this story happened with these Marvel characters." But you know what? Fine.
Well, that's good. None of that, what happened in the books, happened in the MCU at this point, so they couldn't really go on that.
Exactly. So it's just it's very like smushing all of the comic book Captain Marvel history, even the Marvel history into this version of Captain Marvel.
But it was a fun trailer. I enjoyed it, and as much as I groaned at it when I first heard it, the use of the song they used in the trailer was pretty good.
What was the song again? Refresh my memory.
Intergalactic.
Oh, that's right. Now I remember it. Yeah.
So I watched the trailer a couple times. I was like, okay, this is. I am more interested in. Well, I was already interested in this, but I'm kind of more interested in this now than I was then.
Listen, JJ does not have a monopoly on using Beastie in trailers and or movies.
But he's the reason why I was groaning at the use of the Beasties in the trailer. So
it's true enough.
But yeah, if you haven't seen the trailer, go check it out. Sylvester Stallone's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 role has been confirmed with a first look to footage that I don't believe was has been put out yet. Oh wait, it says here is evident by a recent TV spot for the movie. Stallone will reprise his role as Ogre, aka one part of Starhawk, if they go that route with it. They're not gonna go do the whole thing, I know, but the fresh footage showcases Ogard in his full Starhawk suit, something that has been absent from his first appearance in 2015. There you go, folks. Again, movie protocol for that coming on Star Wars Day at that, sadly. But hey, it is what it is. I think they did that intentionally.
Yeah.
Next up.
Last story on this page of our notes.
Yeah, I was about to say, what are you
Marvel's, yeah, I know. So Marvel's Blade just got a little bit of an addition. So, according to Deadline, as an exclusive, sources tell Deadline that Pearl and X-star Mia Goth is set to join Mahershala Ali in Marvel Studios' Blade. Yann Demange is set to direct the pick with Michael Starbury on board to write the script.
I'm going to say the same thing I said on Twitter. When I saw the words Mia Goth, and I thought The Sims. And for those who play The Sims, know what I'm talking about. That is pretty much where that comes from me. But hey, whatever.
For me, at least.
Uh-huh. RoboCop star Peter Weller to join Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. So I'm going to take this opportunity to also say that apparently there have been 10 more episodes added to Disney Plus, which gives it a whopping total of 16 episodes, and it sounds like there is well, I don't know about if it's a cliffhanger at the end, but yeah, it definitely gets into more of a full season worth of episodes. So I'm not sure if what they're talking about is coming from this season or something from next season, as article maybe. But basically, Peter Weller said he revealed that he wrapped up production on Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. That apparently, according to this article, decorated actor and friend Lawrence Fishburne set him up with. And this is a quote. I just finished a thing called Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, Weller said. And I also did not know he was a doctor, an actual doctor. But anyway, Lawrence Fishburne, a longtime pal, called me up and said, "Hey, would you play this? It's a voice acting gig. Would you do this role of Dr. Stern? It was written for you." And kind of Weller was going on, was like, "Yeah, somebody tried to sell me on something like this before, and it didn't. It wasn't great." So, this article is postulating that could this be Samuel Stern of the Leader fame, but we don't know if that's the case or not. And I thought it was Stearns, not Stern. But anyway, next up,
Actor Paul Adelstein has joined the MCU as in an undisclosed role in a project that has yet to be fully confirmed. In one of the rare examples of a Marvel casting announcement, Paul Adelstein posted a photo of himself with a thick beard, wearing sunglasses and a Converse hat, wearing a puffy windbreaker jacket and a backpack. The caption on the photo reads, "ATL for the MCU, a simple message that speaks volumes." Does it?
according to this article, they kind of went with it.
You know? So.
Yeah. Somebody, if you're watching the video version, you can see the Instagram post, and somebody was like, "Give us a hint, William Stryker." And I don't know who this actor is, but it's like, yeah, with that beard, I can kind of see it. We don't even know if they're actually doing anything close to that kind of stuff.
Right.
Anywho's, Deadpool 3 is bringing back Marina Baccarin's Vanessa and Stefan Kapchik's Colossus. So I guess confirming the rumors that whether those characters are going to return. I still haven't seen 2. There you go. That's really nothing else to say about that. Next up.
All right. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, I don't quite understand this. You can watch the 80s Dungeons and Dragons crew discover the new movie. So these are the voice actors?
So they basically did a treatment to where almost in the style of the 80s animated the 80s cartoon, and no, it's definitely not the same voice actor.
Okay.
I mean, if they are, they definitely don't sound like I remember, and I've recently watched that show a couple of times. So, but yeah, apparently this is also kind of a spoiler because they may or may not have a part in that Dungeons and Dragons movie, according to this trailer that I did watch because I love that show. Like I said, the 80s kid in me couldn't resist. So, but I don't know if that's a real thing or if that's something that was done for this trailer. Nevertheless, I don't know. One of these days I'll watch that movie. I'm hearing pretty good things about it. Next up, though, Star Trek Picard's showrunner knew Data had to be a part of the Next Generation reunion. So this is a story talking with Terry Matalas about bringing Brett Spiner back to the fold.
Yeah, mild spoiler for Picard season 3.
Well, sure,
Although we have been talking about the band getting back.
right, but also, you know, I guess technically it is and it isn't because like this kind of happened like a week or two ago.
Right.
But yeah, still kind of
Like I
spoilers
said,
if you haven't
mild
seen
spoil.
it. Yeah. If you haven't been watching, or if you haven't watched the recent ones. So, but yeah, I'm not going to go into much into this. But apparently, this was Darren Metalis was one of those folks, according to this, who was very aware of Data's importance to the show, and he even says here is like, how the hell are you going to do a Star Trek Next Generation reunion without Data being a part of it? Which Data has been a part of Star Trek Picard for the last 3 seasons in one way, shape, or form, just not in a way. I don't know. Yeah. So there you go. It's back in the fold, and the band is truly back together again. Next up.
Extraction 2 trailer. I have not watched this. Chris Hemsworth has returned from the dead in this sequel to the Netflix action movie. So, yeah, surprise. So, this is directed by Sam Hargrave and produced by Anthony and Joe Russo.
Mm-hmm. The weird thing about it was like, if I remember from the original movie, it was you could go either way of whether the character was actually dead or not, but we kind of knew that it wasn't.
Right.
So, but yeah, this is if you haven't seen the trailer and you've watched the first movie, it's interesting because they get a little video gaming in this trailer. So,
Oh, interesting. Extraction 2 will release on Netflix on June 16th.
mm-hmm. Westworld and other canned HBO shows are now streaming on Roku for free. So apparently, more than 2,000 hours of Warner Brothers Discovery content is available across 14 ad-supported channels. Like I said, including the Westworld, The Nevers, Raised by Wolves, and a few others. So, yeah, go check them out if you're missing those shows. Next up.
Warner Brothers Discovery officially announced this week that Max is the new name of its flagship streamer, lopping off the HBO part of the name as it mixes in a big bucket of new content from Discovery Plus and other new original series. The lame part about this is that I think of Max or Cinemax. So why are you confusing everybody?
And Cinemax just got buried in all of this.
Right.
Like, I'm kind of with you now. Also, I believe there's going to be a price hike because I thought I saw some. I don't think it's in this article. No, it's in here. But yeah,
right. If you're whatchamacallit, if you're not subscribed to the cable,
correct.
The actual app, right?
Correct. Which thankfully, yeah, I'm not even. I don't even have HBO, but I think my AT&T gave folks Max a tier of it. So I'm like, all right, cool. It's one less thing to have to worry about. But yeah, May 23rd is when the name is going to come across, and they're basically repurposing the Cinemax site because I believe it was Max.com was the original Cinemax site. This is terrible for SEO also, in addition to every other wrong thing with it. I'm like, they could have just kept it at HBO Max, and everybody would have been like, cool, we know what we're getting. Again, who cares about what Discovery's got to offer? There's somebody, but whatever. Next up, though, first trailer for Max's Gremlins: Secret of Mogwai animated series has been put out there. I totally forgot this was a thing, but it's a period piece set in 1920s Shanghai. It says the series reveals how a 10-year-old Sam Wing, who becomes the future shop owner Mr. Wing in the 1984 movie, met the young Mogwai called Gizmo. Struck up a lifelong friendship as Wing attempts to return Gizmo to his family, encountering and sometimes battling colorful monsters and spirits from Chinese folklore. Meanwhile, the two and street thief L are pursued by a power-hungry industrialist and his growing army of evil gremlins, which slightly sounds like gargoyles for some reason. So I haven't really watched much of it. But yeah, there you go, folks. I hear some people like the trailer. Next up.
All right, we get a first look at James Gunn's Creature Commandos DC series, and the voice cast has now been revealed. So the cast includes Sean Gunn as Weasel and G.I. Robot, Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., Maria Bakalova as Princess Ilana Rostovich, Indira Varma as the bride, Zoe Chow as Nina Mazursky, Alan Tudyk as Dr. Phosphorus, David Harbour as Eric Frankenstein, with Steve Agee reprising his role as John Economos from Peacemaker. So this is an animated series set to premiere on Max. Not Min, but Max.
Yeah, it's kind of minimal. But yeah. So yeah, this is that James Gunn thing that we heard about.
There it is.
Yeah. So yeah, this is that animated thing James Gunn was talking about that we were like, who, what, about. I guess the notable thing is that Frank Grillo of Crossbones fame is playing Rick Flag as opposed to the other dude's name I can't think about. Point.
Right.
Some sad news, and a line of sad news that we're going to get to. Lance Reddick's cause of death disputed by family attorney, apparently. So earlier reports that linked Reddick's death to heart disease, but an attorney representing the family is saying that the cause of death was not proved by an autopsy and is inconsistent with Reddick's habits and fitness. Attorney James Hornstein claimed Reddick was, quote, the most physically fit person I've ever known. He said that the actor worked out daily at his home gym, doing extensive cardio and maintaining a strict diet. He said Reddick required, quote, the availability of gym facilities as a contractual requirement when working away from home. So whatever's going on there is an ongoing thing. Next up.
Speaking of what he was connected to late in his life until, let's see here. So the John Wick prequel, The Continental, has gotten a very 70s teaser trailer. I have not watched this yet.
Neither have I, actually.
So this is a Peacock original.
Yeah.
Ding!
Okay. And we're past that point anyway.
Thank you. So this is set to Donna Summer's I Feel Love. The teaser is big on style and light on substance, with lots of guns, a katana, and plenty of suits. It's a John Wick thing after all.
There you go.
It's billed as a 3-part event. So what was going to be a series is now going to be basically 3 TV movies.
Right. So it sounds like it's a young Winston story also.
Yes.
Given where it's set.
Yeah, we're going to get a young Winston, young Chiron.
Yep.
We were right about that one.
We sure was. So sorry, folks, we're getting a little behind the scenes chatter. You might have heard the dings. That is not your Google thing. It is ours. Anyway,
that's right.
Minecraft movie with Jason Momoa confirms release date. Let that sink in for a second. Deadline reports that Momoa's Minecraft movie has been scheduled for release on April 4th, 2025. The date has been previously reserved by Warner Brothers for an Untitled film, with the recent revelation now confirming that the film is their Minecraft adaptation. Of course, this also came with the news that his Aquaman movie had been changed. Dates had been moved up a couple of days also. So next up.
Oh my goodness. Folks. Yes. Folks. Fast X has a new teaser that showcases Jason Momoa's villainous character. Yeah, I'm not watching that. Because guess what, folks? Tickets are on sale. This movie's opening in theaters on May 19th. Oh, I've got to contact my buddy and find out what's what.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to confirm. I'm pretty sure he hasn't confirmed it because it's been such a busy time these past 2 weeks. Confirm Guardians, but also going to follow up on Fast X.
Gotcha. Also, family.
Exactly.
So yeah, folks, get them tickets if you're interested. We may or may not be on Movie Protocol for that.
We'll let you know.
Yeah.
We'll let you know.
Like I said, this is that season where things are, this is a interesting movie season for us. because normally there would be some stuff a little bit more spread than what they are, and we're getting a few things kind of in a line.
Back to back to back.
So this is going to be something. Nicki Minaj to star in animated series based on a Dark Horse comic book. So Nicki Minaj is attached to executive produce and star in Lady Danger, a new Amazon Freebie animated series. That sounds probably about right where that needs to be based on. Based on the Dark Horse comics title of the same name by Alex DeCampi. I don't know. I have not or seen. Actually, I've seen the comic. I just don't know too much. But so Alex DeCampi, Muele Jarvis, and Marissa Louise are the creative team for that book. According to Deadline, Minaj is developing Lady Danger alongside fellow. Okay, now this makes more sense. Fellow rapper Curtis 56 Jackson, who is also executive producing through his.
Did you say 56 as opposed to 50 Cent?
No, I thought I said 50 Cent, but I probably did. Either way. Who is also executive producing through his G Unit film and TV banner. Y'all, I'm sure some of y'all out there watch the whole Power situation, so y'all already know. And there's a bunch of other people attached to it. Don't need to. Any time frame on when this is going to come out? No. Moving right along.
All right, The Boys season 4 has wrapped production. So, and it's posted the bloody proof on social media. Okay.
Take the next one also.
What's that?
Take the next one also.
The Boys debuts Jeffrey Dean Morgan season 4 costume. So The Boys has finally given fans a look at Jeffrey Dean Morgan's highly anticipated season 4 debut, unveiled via an Instagram post shared by series star Carl Urban. The image both welcomed Morgan and revealed the actor's outfit. The costume appears to be a tattered suit with a loosened tie and a thick overcoat. Many have taken the look to mean the Walking Dead alum won't be playing a superpowered individual, but word on his actual character remains a mystery. In the same post, Urban also addressed The Boys season 4 shooting wrap, noting that Prime Video subscribers can expect the episodes to arrive soon-ish.
You're watching the video version, you can see the picture in question. Super Mario Brothers scores best opening weekend box office for the animated series, which again, that's probably not saying that much given when this came out. But according to IGN, the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I'm actually still kind of curious about watching at some point, earned an estimated $368 million worldwide at the box office during its opening. Hey, not bad. They go through the domestics and all that other 5-day stuff, which we won't go into, but yeah, the joint made money. Next up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, kids got to go watch something in the movie theaters too.
I mean, some adults, a lot of adults, more adults than you would think, actually, also because of Mario, went to this. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't just kids, but you're right.
Nintendo's weird Super Mario.
That's that New York coming out. That's that New York coming out.
Yeah, for real. Super Mario. Hey, Mario. Super Mario anime from 1986 has been lovingly restored in 4K. So it's available to stream or download. That's cool.
Yeah, it's on Internet Archive, so you can go check it out. Actually, I had been intending to do that and I didn't get a chance to. But yeah, it's out there, folks, if you're interested. Now we're going to get into the anime section. Sword Art Online Anomaly Quest trailer and poster has been released. So it is out there if you are a fan of Sword Art Online. It was initially announced as a very mysterious new experience, but has now been revealed that the Tokyo Matrix will be launching a special virtual event where fans will be able to team up with their favorite Sword Art Online characters, such as Kirito and Asuna, they have become the villains this time. So it won't be available to fans outside of Japan. I'm sure at some point it'll be on some VR hardware point. But you can check out the video and the poster in this article. Next up.
Jujutsu Kaisen held a panel at Anime Japan 2023, where it was revealed that Season 2 will feature more scenes exclusive to the anime. So, according to a translation, the voice actor for Satoru Gojo, Yuichi Nakamura, revealed the second season will feature more anime-only scenes. Okay.
Some would say, "Oh Lord, more filler," but I feel like they're probably gonna do it. Right.
Maybe not filler, but like context.
One would hope.
We'll see.
I'm going to take these next 3.
Yay! Sleepy time. No, I'm kidding.
Oh no, you will not. Demon Slayer Entertainment arc lights up the stage this November as one part of this. So so yeah, they're doing a stage play because we've already talked about this, but basically we now have a date for it. Next up, though, we get into what Agent 70 has already seen probably about a month ago, and the rest of it has just seen recently in the form of Demon Slayer Season 3. And the cliffhanger that support that happens at the end of the episode, which is almost an hour long. Won't go into it too much. But yeah, that thing is the first episode is out there and it is good. And also with that, we also get in the last part of the story, we get in this episode, the revelation of why the love Hashira does what she does, put it that way. And if anything I just said sounds anything unsurprising, it very much isn't.
It's stereotypical, but it's not.
Right. Yeah. So one little anecdote I will say that took me. I was watching this morning actually the episode because like, oh shoot, I forgot. And my wife walked into the room, and it was when she came in, and she was like, "Oh, she's got some big boobs."
And Tanjiro is being a very, very, very upstanding citizen.
Yes, he's been to being a gentleman for a young dude for his age. So it took me. I was like, wife, those are not even the biggest in anime. Those just happen to be what we're seeing right now. But that joint tickled me for a good minute. But yeah, Demon Slayer season 3 episode 1 is out there. Catch it. Good. Next up,
after his latest Neon Genesis Evangelion, Ultraman, and Kamen Rider projects, Hideaki Anno is looking forward to his blank slate future. He's basically saying he's taking his first break in 30 years. Good for him. As the Anime News Network reports, Anno told audiences at a recent promotion event for his latest film, Shin Kamen Rider, that nothing about my next work has been decided yet. He went on to say, for the first time in over 30 years, my future is a blank slate. I've worked so much that I want to take a break. Good for you, dude.
Absolutely. 30 years.
It's healthy.
Yeah, it's far past due. Also, I haven't seen Shin Kamen Rider, but I kind of want to. I've been kind of slow to get into that part of Sentai. Lost 90s American animated Saint Seiya pilot episode goes public. So yes, this is is this the DLC version that I thought was already out there, but apparently not. So it says Lost Media documentary YouTuber Raymona, whoever that is, shared the full pilot episode of an American's animated Saint Seiya adaptation on this past Tuesday. The proposed cartoon titled Guardians of the Cosmos was conceived and scrapped during the 1990s. I believe this was the DLC. Yep, it was. I see. Oh wait, nope. Happy Sabam. Yeah, so it still probably could be. Either way, the pilot is out there on the YouTubes. And you can definitely check that out along with the Sailor Moon Power pilot, American Sailor Moon pilot, which kind of has been floating around for a minute. Anyway, next up.
All right, we're going into the manga corner and soon into the comic book. So, in a high honor, the French government conferred the Chevalier de l'Ordre des Arts et des Lettres otherwise known as Knight of the Order of Arts and Letters decoration on manga creator Rumiko Takahashi on last Thursday. And Takahashi received the decoration at the France ambassador's residence in Tokyo. Since making her debut in '78, Takahashi has created such manga as Urusei Yatsura, Maison Ikoku, Mermaid Saga, Rumic Theater, Ranma 1/2, One Pound Gospel, and Inuyasha. In her career of over 4 decades, many of her works have become internationally popular and inspired anime and live-action adaptations. Yeah, she was inducted into the Harvey Awards Hall of Fame in 2021 and was also inducted into the Will Eisner Comic Awards Hall of Fame in 2018.
Also, my apologies. I haven't been keeping up with the chat because apparently Benji Games 2 has been making some comments, a couple of which I'm not entirely sure what they're about, but apparently doesn't like Brie Larson too much.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Well,
I hope my French was okay. I took a lot of French in school.
as did I. You know, for someone who hasn't practiced in a while, you did all right as far as I'm concerned. And I guess, well, I'm also lapsed on Duolingo, but that's some tons of thing.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Don't be lapsed on Duolingo.
Too late. I guess the name change is dumb. Also, was probably to the Max change, which I agree
Oh
with.
yeah.
And I don't know, definitely not a movie I would ever watch, but I know that was something in the last few minutes that we were talking about. So, Pokemon's new manga is dedicated to Ash's anime replacement. So yeah,
Wait, he was replaced? What?
Well, yeah, because well, I guess replacement is strong. I guess he got retired. He retired. I don't know. But basically, the anime pretty much is like, yeah, we just got the last. Well, I say we, but the anime pretty much just went through Ash's, last turn as the protagonist of the show. And I may or may not have introduced this new person who this manga is also probably about, but yeah, it says here that the new manga stars Liko as the main protagonist, which I believe is the same as going to be on the next version of Pokemon when it releases. It says Pocket Monster Liko's Treasure is a tie-in with the upcoming anime series Pokemon Horizons. It was created by Kohori Orito. The manga will explore more of Liko's character as she sets out on her Pokemon journey with a brand new attitude. I gotta catch them all. With her starter Sprigatito. Liko's Treasure will debut in the next issue of Sugar Kugan's Cow magazine, which comes out May the 2nd. Next up.
Sword Art Online is returning with a special new event overseas, and now fans have gotten a look at what to expect from this new virtual experience event with the trailer and poster for Sword Art Online Anomaly Quest. As the Sword Art Online franchise celebrates the 10th anniversary of Reki Kawahara's original light novel releases and the anime adaptation that followed, Sword Art Online has been in the midst of production on a ton of new projects, branching out the franchise in whole new ways. This includes a new experience that will toss fans in Japan right into the thick of the action.
Okay, so my apology, because and apparently Agent 70 was not paying attention when I did this story a little bit ago, but I must have put this in here a couple of times. My apologies.
Yeah, I mean, I heard it, but I'm like, okay, I'll keep going.
No, it was the same one. So I don't know how that happened. Was moving a whole lot of stuff around. So, Jujutsu Kaisen Cliffhanger finally visits Megumi after Sukuna takeover. So this is for the manga, of which I don't think either one of us have been reading. But spoiler alert if you are and haven't caught up. It says here that Jujutsu Kaisen has been spending the last few chapters watching Sukuna as he vows to bury Megumi as deep within his soul as he can by dealing with as much mental damage to Megumi as possible. And it goes on from there. Next level, jada, and yeah, going on from there. Next up.
Solo Leveling spinoff featuring Jinwoo's son celebrates release with trailer. Sung Soo-ho will get his chance to become a player in the system with the release of the spinoff web novel series Solo Leveling Ragnarok. Everything's got to be a Ragnarok.
Apparently. So I sent this story to someone that I know was reading Solo Leveling, and they were like, spoilers. I'm like, oops. But also, I'm not entirely sure how much, if so, it is. Like, outside of the fact that, yeah, okay, Jinwoo's got a son. I don't know if that happens in the thing, or it's just like a Naruto Boruto situation. Either way, hey, there you go, folks. We'll the continuing adventures of Solo Leveling before we even get manga. I mean, to the anime. Now we get into the comic book corner with a preview of the Action Combine from Jed McKay's Avengers run. So it says here, just in time for the milestone 60th anniversary, the Avengers will enter a new era next month under writer Jed McKay and artist C.F. Villa, complete with a new lineup, a breathtaking mission, and deadly new enemies, the aforementioned Action Combine. So yeah, we got preview images of the characters of this group, which kind of almost sounds like the Black Order.
Yeah, kinda. But you know what? Isn't the way to fight them just with lotion?
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Slow clap, folks. Slow clap.
Oh, jeez. Should cut this off right
when
now.
when I read the story title, when I read the story title, I was like, he called them the what?
Yeah. No,
oh boy.
normally I would have said, yeah, cut this off, but nah, that was actually pretty good.
Anyway.
So yeah, the combine won't start. Well, yeah, July. The Avengers 3rd is when the Action Combine is going to come into play, but the story again begins in Avengers #1, which releases on May 17th. Next up.
Spoiler alert, folks. We have some spoilers that I'm not going to talk about for Star Wars Hidden Empire issue number 5. We actually find out what really happened to Kira from Solo, a Star Wars story, in this issue. I haven't read it. I'm not reading the spoilers. So go look into this for yourselves, folks, if you were curious.
I'll be honest, I haven't either. And I started reading that miniseries, but I think I dropped off of it because it's like, okay, there's a lot going on. But yeah, I'll have to check back on that. Hot Toys reveals 40th anniversary Star Wars Return of the Jedi Darth Vader action figure. No, oh no, it is. Sorry, different movie. Although the way they got him posed in here, oh no, never mind. Take it back. Hot Toys. So yeah, I'm trying to see if there's a picture in here. There we go. Pictures. So we got Vader in there in full regalia with his lightsaber. Got you can take off his helmet and pose him all kind of ways because it's Hot Toys. And of course, it's because it's Hot Toys, the price is going to be a 1/6 scale. It's a deluxe collectible posable figure. Oh, you can even take the apparently you can even take the hand off. There's Vader with all the accoutrement right there. Actually, it's 2 heads. It's not he comes with 2 different heads and not take off the helmet. So me. Jesus, a lot of pictures in here as I scroll through. Folks looking at the price, of which did not present itself. But and guess what, folks? It's gonna be a lot. Next up.
Alrighty, next up, Marvel Legends Avengers Varanki, Spider-Woman, and Super Skrull set is on sale now. So this is basically a set that has roots in Secret Invasion, and it's basically a 2-pack, but you can make Spider-Woman turn into Queen Varanki. So that's pretty cool. You also have the opportunity now to get the Doctor Doom Secret Wars version and the Monica Rambeau classic Captain Marvel. I am very tempted to buy this.
Same.
Pre-orders are live. It is $49.99. So is the Hulk and Dr. Banner 2-pack.
Yep. And as
that Captain Marvel and Dr. Doom is very tempting.
as Agent 70 was talking, I was scrolling through the pictures on the for the folks on the video version. So yeah, you can kind of check them out. Yeah, I actually went looking at that the Amazon
Mm-hmm.
for that Doom and Captain Marvel set. It is it's very tempting, as you said. Um, from the world of Batman, White Knight, writers from that hope that Zatanna and Catwoman get spinoffs. Come on, but ad blockers for. Let's see. Zatanna Collins and Clay McCormick want to bring Zatanna and Catwoman spinoffs into the Batman White Knight universe. And CVR pretty much interviewed them about what they want to do. And they also discussed the next miniseries, which is Batman White Knight Presents Generation Joker, which is a new miniseries that they are collaborating on with Sean Gordon Murphy, which is going to launch May 2023, excuse me. Which now I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure if that Beyond Batman went finished because I'm not sure if I'm caught up with it. We'll go and check. Next up.
DC kills Superman's biggest foe in Mark Waid's new mature reader series. Interesting. So this is a new Black Label series written by Mark Waid and illustrated by Brian Hitch. This is launching in July 2023. It's a 3-issue DC Black Label series. Remember Black Label?
Yeah, there's still stuff that comes around that they just don't present themselves as
Yeah,
much as
pretty
they
much.
used to. So I got to admit, I'm kind of curious. And I'm also kind of curious because I remember we had a story about Mark Waid that he had some Superman stories that he wanted to do if DC would allow them. And I'm kind of wondering if this is one of them.
Mhm.
In sad news, once again, Rachel Pollack, trailblazing Doom Patrol writer, passes away at 70. So Rachel Pollack was an award-winning fantasy novelist and tarot expert, apparently, according to this article. Best known in the comic book world for her acclaimed run following Grant Morrison on Doom Patrol. Pollack's wife, Zoe Matoff, posted on Facebook on April 7th that, quote, sad to tell you that our beloved Rachel Pollack passed so peacefully and beautifully today at about 12:45 p.m. after a touching ceremony called Hand to Heart. It's a long quote, but I won't go into. Actually, yes, I will. Several of us stood in a circle. I had my hand on her heart. I began in the circle by saying how much I love her and what she means to me. And then other people took turns sharing their feelings. And basically, I know that Rachel will continue to be a light in this world and in the next, and she will continue to inspire so many of our beloved tarot community, science fiction and fantasy community, the comics community, and the transgender community, for which she shared so much respect and care. There's a couple more lines that goes on from there, and definitely, her run was quite notable. I never Doom Patrol like that. Next up.
In more sad news, Al Jaffe. You will recognize that name if you even came close to picking up a Mad magazine in the last 40 years.
Yes.
Al Jaffe, longtime Mad magazine cartoonist, has passed away at the age of 102. God bless him.
Yeah.
So he died this past Monday in Manhattan from multiple organ failure, according to his granddaughter, Fanny Thompson. He previously retired at the age of 99, folks. 99.
Yeah, I'm still working for a good while.
Yep.
Yeah, if you ever did a fold in or read snappy answers to stupid questions, I think matter of fact I remember having a book of those. You have definitely read some Al Jaffe, or you've seen some Al Jaffe.
Exactly.
So amongst other things, but those are the notable, more notable ones. So yeah, that's a great one. Doctor Who Once Upon a Time Lord graphic novel coming this autumn from one very much over the moon Dan Slott, who is a big Doctor Who fan. The book will feature the 10th Doctor and Martha Jones, who apparently gets captured by the Pyrameths, and her only hope for survival is to keep them distracted with three sensational untold stories of the 10th Doctor facing off against his greatest foes, both classic and I saw this from Dan Slott's Twitter accounts, and knowing how big of a Doctor Who fan we was, like, I was happy for him. But definitely, you could hear the excitement for him in this. But this is going to be released. It's called Doctor Who: Once Upon a Time Lord. It was released October 10th of this year, and is up for pre-order now. Next up.
Last but not least, folks, we have reached the end of the news with our last story. In an exclusive, Mike Mignola expands Hellboy's universe with 2 new titles. Exclusive to CPR, Mike Mignola and Chris Roberson are co-writing 2 brand new Hellboy titles for Dark Horse Comics. First is Hellboy and the BPRD 1957 From Below is a new one-shot releasing on July 12th of this year from Mignola, Roberson, artist Micah Norton, colorist Lee Luffridge, and cover artist Lawrence Campbell. The second one is Panya, the Mummy's Curse, and it is a prequel series set millenniums before Hellboy ever walked the earth, and that is releasing on July 12th, 2023. Panya, the Mummy's Curse #1 comes from Mignola, Roberson, artist Christopher Mitten, colorist Michelle Madsen, and letterer Clem Robbins. See here. Yeah, that's all from Dark Horse. I'm just looking for pricing. But yeah, just if you're a Hellboy person, shout out to PCN_dirt. You're going to be interested in that. And that is not far from now.
Indeed. And that's that is the news, folks. We did it. We did it.
We blazed through that, folks.
Yes, indeed. Let's get one last ad.
Our last ad read of the night. You know what we read when it's been a long night. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends, as we mentioned earlier. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
All right, folks, that is it for this here show. We know it's a news heavy one, and which is why we blew through it so much, and I'm happy we did it. Go us. I don't think we have anything coming up pressing outside of Mandalorian and the last of Mandalorian and Star Trek Picard too.
Right. That's going to be the highlight. That's going to be the focus of the early part of next week's show.
Yep. As per usual. And with that, my name is Ridercat. You can find me at Ridercat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PCN_dirt on Twitter, PopCultureNet and PopCultureNetwork.com, and all those umbrella sites therein. And Tim DOGG98 on Twitter, also CB Cron on Twitter, the Kliq Nation on Twitter, that's TheKliqNation, thekliqnation.com, and of course you can find him over at comicbook.com under the name Timothy Adams, writing his face off. You may have noticed if you were watching the video version, a couple of the news items were from him. Been busy lately. It's getting to be that time. Con season is also pretty much firing up, so going to be a little bit busy for next little bit. You can find this here podcast on the Coast of the Podcast Network, that's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast producer place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coast of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and leave us all the 5-star positive reviews.
Indeed, you could also find us recording every Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, or whatever the daytime savings time equivalent of it would be, at youtube.com/The Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you know when we are on.
Shout out to a friend of mine, Martian Cat, who apparently followed the Twitch channel. So thank you for that. Appreciate you. And I know I saw a couple of people lurking earlier. So shout out to all the lurkers or anybody who come through, whether you're lurking or not. So, and with that, folks, we will catch you fine folks next week with some more news and books and all that good stuff. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.